What is going on, Notre Dame fans? Mike Singer, Mike Goolsby, live on a Sunday night talking Notre Dame 48, USC 20. Hope everyone is doing well. Hit that thumbs up, of course. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, all that good stuff. If you're watching back, hello. If you're listening via podcast, leave us a kind review on our podcast channel, wherever you are listening to this. Mike, how you feeling, man? I like your home field shirt, by the way.
That's right.
In the stashes.
We'll maybe get into two thoughts. We'll get into a little bit of a history lesson here, Singer.
Okay.
On this home field shirt, Notre Dame shirt. And yeah, the mustache, it's just it's kind of a thing nowadays. Travis
nowadays. He rocks it, and he just got Taylor Swift, so why can't Mike?
Well, I got my own version of Taylor Swift here at home.
Yeah, there you go.
But, I'm trying to get some of that Sam Hartman, Dollar Shave Club money over here. Send some my way.
Yeah, Dollar Shave Club.
But no, with that thrilling win, had a difficult time sleeping last night. You're just so wound up because of all of the Notre Dame rivalries. And we talked about this with, future Notre Dame quarterback Deuce Knight. We got a lot of rivalries. And that's a big, exciting part of playing at a Notre Dame is everybody wants a piece here. You kind of get everybody's best shot. But USC is the rivalry. And it's a really kind of a culture clash. It's almost like good versus evil in a way, Singer. It kind of is in terms of like what they represent to me anyway and what we represent. I mean, their coach, Lincoln Riley, left in the middle of the night, left OU and jumped ship over to USC. Our coach got elevated from within, was ostensibly kind of hired by his players. You look at our transfer quarterback and Sam Hartman, who's been nothing but gracious. He won't talk about himself, constantly deflecting to his teammates, etc. I saw a piece or a little interview, after practice interview with Caleb Williams, and he was talking about his king vibes, his king vibes in terms of how he. And I'm just like, again, complete opposite sides of the spectrum. USC's kind of a one-man show with Caleb Williams, and this was a classic team win. 2 years in a row, we played SC. In this transfer portal world that we live in, brother, the team is comprised of transfers all across the board.
Yeah.
Notre Dame, we literally can't get an undergrad transfer. So it's just, again, it goes to that culture piece. And it's like you talk about the lifestyle of their athletes versus our. I mean, they don't go to class, they don't get drug tested. I mean, it's just a polar opposite. Just ways of handling your football life, your football program. And I think it's kind of a statement win for Freeman because he is building a program.
Mike,
it was awesome.
Yeah. So folks watching live with us, we'll get to super chats around 7:45 p.m. Eastern time. So if you're dying to ask Mike, or I'm sure myself, I'm sure you're definitely here for Mike Singer. If you're just dying to ask a question, we will get to that. 7:45 p.m. Eastern time. Mike, I kind of want to put to bed this thing about Notre Dame and these big games because in recent years, Mike, they just beat top 10 USC. They battled the hell out of Ohio State the past 2 years. They've beat Clemson a couple times now. I mean, they're winning some of these big games, man. And I'm liking it. Even beat Michigan in 2018. Like they're like post the 4-8 season. Like they're winning some big games, man. So and Freeman, how about Freeman's already got 2 top 10 wins in 2 years? I think Kelly did that 4 times in a decade, something like that.
Three.
So Kelly did it 3 times.
Kelly. I heard this. Kelly, over the course of his time at ND, had 3 wins against a top 10 team. So Freeman's at 2, a couple years into this deal. So yeah, I don't know if you can put it to bed per se, right? It's still early in his, program building process. But, well, it's just like 2 things. Like, having played in a couple big games, you have to be able to get your team up and get your team prepared. That's a very real thing. And then secondly, and probably most importantly, is you have to have athletes. Now, if you were just an objective bystander flipping through the channels last night and you happen to tune into the ND USC game, was there a marked difference in athletes? I mean, of course, people are going to take shots at the receivers, and I'll be at the front of that crowd. I mean, we're still a little bit lacking there, but across the board, we can compete with anybody.
Yeah.
And that goes back to why you brought Coach Freeman here, was to recruit and to be the face of the program. And the rest of this stuff, he'll figure out as he goes along.
Yeah, in terms of the big game thing, like obviously got to win a playoff game, but that, I'm just talking about like some of these like regular season big contests. Like Notre Dame is, they're not really crap in the bed, at least they haven't for a little while. So
yeah, I think the big challenge will be Clemson. I think Clemson on the road is a thing. Notre Dame at home is a thing. A night game at home is a special place. So, Freeman's big win against Clemson at night at home. Same here with USC. Playing USC in the Coliseum is a whole nother story. So, but yeah, it's life as a Notre Dame fan, Singer. It's just like the back and forth. It's wild.
Yeah. Yeah. Goolsby, did you get a new Twitter handle?
I did. I did. Yeah. Working on something, putting a Patreon together. And the link will be in there soon to come. So yeah, something I'm kind of excited about. Should be fun. More of this, but maybe a little bit extra.
A little bit more stash in there.
We can, a little bit more stash. We can, you can kind of get around some YouTube stuff, some copyright stuff, just something. Yeah. I've been at this long enough, and it's just like, should be fun, kind of maybe untethered a little bit more, if you will.
So that's at Mike Goolsby 41.
I'll have the Patreon link in there.
All right, folks, again, 7:45, we'll get to those super chats. So really looking forward to that. So let's talk about the game itself. What stood out to you, Mike? Just kind of your overview of this game. Notre Dame winning by 4 touchdowns. Mike, me, you, and Tim all predicted Notre Dame to win, but dude, no, did you see this though? Like 4 touchdowns?
No, I didn't see the beat down, and I thought ironically we would play better. I thought we would play better in the run game offensively, because there is some things to correct, and we'll get there. And we'll probably almost talk about the offense first, Singer, before you get to the defense. But I mean, what stood out? First of all, Xavier Watts, Singer, like instant legend status, dude. Like he's a legend now. Like people remember my silly interception on the road at Tennessee. Like Xavier did that literally like times 3 or 4. Like game of his life. We've been talking about since I've known you virtually, Singer.
Mm-hmm.
We need guys that are willing to step up in a big play, and he like came into the building with alpha energy. And his first pick, we turned somebody loose. That tight end was up the seam. It was either Marist or DJ should have had him. So we kind of busted on that play. Pressure made Caleb float the ball. But after that, USC was never comfortable. And I'm sitting there, and this is going to sound crazy, but I was watching like Mike Tyson, like highlights. He's on YouTube, like Mike Tyson's greatest knockouts, as I'm waiting for this game to start. And then I'm thinking, there's that famous quote from Tyson, among many, where it's like, everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth. And I just felt like Xavier's first pick was like a punch in the mouth. And Caleb Williams was chewing on that mouthpiece. You could see Lincoln Riley was visibly shook, and we never really let up. And even when we did, like the punt return, we always had an answer.
Yeah.
And then you break down the defense, like as a whole, literally everybody played well. Like Nana's played 2 games in a row, like kind of coming out of nowhere. We talked about on Wednesday with Tim and I and you rotating on the D line. A true freshman shows up. True freshman shows up in the kick return game. And this is going back to my initial like opening statement, Singer, about Freeman building this program kind of in his image.
Mm-hmm.
And like, how big of a recruiting weekend was this, Mike?
Pretty big one, dude.
Pretty big.
Lots of big talent. Carter Nelson from your neck of the woods.
Come on down, Carter. Come on down. But I'm sitting there going, he's a world-class recruiter. And like, what a showcase for like our young talent. Like young talent is making major contributions, whether it's Morrison, whether it's Sneed. And it's just like, you can show it to those recruits and be like, we are building a culture here. All these other top flight schools that are recruiting you, you're replaceable with transfers. Like that ain't going to happen here. So you're starting to kind of see that this far along into Freeman's tenure. But what a game. What a game.
Yeah. I want to say, Mike, on our Wednesday show, you were like, listen, these guys are soft coming from LA, and I'm just going to punch them in the mouth.
Yeah.
Like, that was kind of what your message was. I'm not going to repeat one of the words you said.
I called him the P word.
Yeah. You did. But yeah, Mike, I mean, you called that like that they were just going to just beat them up. And I think that's a really good thing that they didn't recover. And you know what, Mike? What I believe that one thing that really stuck out from what you had said Wednesday was that they're going to come in cocky, right? So when Notre Dame goes up 7-0, it's like
they got punched in the mouth.
Now what?
Now what?
I like that, Mike.
And I think they were even like, oh yeah, we got this. And even as fans, you're like, all right, come on offense, because we've seen them come back this season. But yeah, I mean, you get into like it's just culture. It's culture. And I like, even when I bet college football, like I'm always matching cultures in different locker rooms, kind of how they match up. But this is football. You've got an assemblage of transfers over there, stat chasers. What does Marcus Freeman say? Choose hard. Deuce Knight talked about that. Choose hard. Freeman is selling the growth that comes through the uncomfortability of being in a Notre Dame, being made to go to class, growing up, becoming a man, choosing hard. It's like that USC team, the way that they're constructed, they're like, shit, I'm just going to ride Caleb Williams' coattails. That's all. Bear Williams leaves Alabama. What's his name? Bear Alexander leaves Alabama. Or was he Georgia? Leave Georgia because it's like, dude, I'm just going to be smoking blunts, laying by the pool and go to the league. That's what they think. And it's like our kids aren't doing that. And it's just, USC fans can come for me. I know this to be true, So, yeah, that's what happened.
Did you get to watch any of our show last night with Tim?
I did.
Did you just see where I would just pause and just rave in excitement? I was like, I can't even control my excitement. Is that how you felt too, Mike? That's like the vibes I'm getting from you are just, you just can't control your happiness, man.
No, it was, it was, first of all, I never get tired of being right. I'll never get tired of it.
You never get tired of telling us about it either.
Yeah. Hey, you brought it up tonight. I didn't, but why watch anything else? But I'm just saying, like, it felt good. And like, I had a hard time. I was sitting there watching your show, watched a couple other like YouTube shows. And you're just grinning. You're just grinning because it's like, it wasn't like a sprint. It was a beatdown. It was literally a beatdown. And this is the same kid that had FU painted on his fingernails. And like, he was on his back all night long. And it was like, that's what you get. That's literally what you get. You had it coming.
So, Mike, it was an offense, defense, special teams, right? A lot of people are like, I mean, I'm arguing with people on the message board, which we had a super chat last night. They were like, well, Mike, you shouldn't be arguing.
Good for you.
That's on me for even stooping to that and doing that. But like, I just don't understand watching the game and just being like, well, this offense sucks. But like, well, listen, it wasn't. I mean, they had a few 3-and-outs. It wasn't their greatest performance at all, and a lot to address in the bye week for Notre Dame. But dude, and you talked about Notre Dame always had an answer. The Chris Tyree touchdown was a huge answer. Special teams touchdown, a huge answer. And then, just piling on late was even another answer to put the game to bed. So just a complete win, Mike. Again, the offense wasn't great, but every time the defense gave them an opportunity to score, they did. They scored on all their turnovers, except for the last one where, they had victory formation. So, Mike, I mean, I think you got to be pretty pleased in all facets of the game. Do you agree with my take there?
Pleased, yeah. There's obviously room for improvements, but yes, you're absolutely pleased. And it's whether it's this show, Singer, or whether like it's the actual games. Like, let us not forget that this is entertainment, right? It's a distraction from life.
Mike.
Yeah, I mean, this is entertainment.
This is life and death. Jesus, Mike.
No, I mean, it absolutely matters. But like, if you're having fun watching a game, let yourself have fun. Like when we're returning kicks and like the excitement and all that stuff. I mean, that was a fun game. Anytime you get like a 3-phase beatdown game like that, more or less, it's fun. The problem with the offense is it's quite the conundrum. It's because it's like you had these elevated expectations based off of Hartman's prior career and numbers and all of that. And that was probably, kind of falsely propped up a little bit, right? The wide receiver group was kind of falsely propped up a little bit. So there's a little bit of heightened expectations for what the offense is going to look like this year. But you forget you got a first-time offensive coordinator. This is like the off-season buzz. You forget you got a first-time offensive coordinator. You really kind of get into the weeds with the wide receiver group. Maybe they're not as good as I thought they were. So that's a part of the frustration with the offense, Singer.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But to me, bro, the biggest frustration comes from some of the fixes are like blatantly obvious. In that, like the formation tendencies, every time we're in 12 or 13, inside run. Every time we go spread, it's a pass. So it's like, and Tim Hyde's eloquently said this for weeks now. It's like, you can run the ball out of a spread formation.
Right.
Out of having 3 wides in the game. Like, we're asking Coach Parker to get defenders out of the box to create some lanes. It's not, you understand it. The average audience member understands it. And we still don't do it. And that, I think, is the most frustrating piece. Like, you're still winning games, but like you could have, I thought we were going to run for 250, 300 yards on these guys. I did. I really did. But you don't even have to be able to tackle. Like, USC is not a great tackling team. You don't even have to if you just got so many people packed into a tight spot. It's hard to keep your feet as a ball carrier.
Yeah.
So I think that's it.
Yeah. All right, Mike. Can you show us that shirt again?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So this came in the mail.
Where'd you get that, Mike?
I got that from Home Field, brother. I'll give you the story after this ad read.
All right, let's do that. So, Home Field, folks, it is an amazing collegiate clothing line based out of Indianapolis and created some very comfortable, officially licensed clothing. They got fantastic designs, especially the Notre Dame designs. Goolsby rocked. Is this actually Goolsby here for folks watching on YouTube? I think no, that's not Goolsby rocking the shirt.
I don't wear a watch.
We love the Victory March Sam Hartman shirt that Goolsby rocked last week. A little bit of a troll job by Goolsby, but hey, we still liked it.
No.
Home Field went back into the archives, the old school Notre Dame designs, and what they have created is so unique and thoughtful. Their designs are authentic and show the nostalgia of your Fighting Irish. And they have licensed actually over 150 colleges, so you can buy yourself a Home Field shirt and then maybe 1 or 2 for a family member, and then you got a Michigan fan, God forgive you for that, but buy them a shirt or something like that. And when you use the promo code blue gold, such as blue gold 23, you'll receive 15% off your first order with Home Field. The site is easy to shop to find that perfect college football gear you need to complete your game day outfit. Be prepared for the fall by shopping today at homefieldapparel.com. Remember to use promo code blue gold 23 and receive 15% off your purchase. So, yeah, this is not the one you're wearing. You're not wearing the
same shirt, different color.
Yeah, same shirt, different color. Tell us about it, Mike.
So Clashmore Mike, shame on me as a Notre Dame grad. I did not know this. So thank you, Home Field. They gave me a history lesson and a free shirt. Clashmore Mike was the first mascot of the University of Notre Dame. It was an Irish Terrier that was given to Coach Rockney. So he was our first mascot, this dog, going back to the 20s. And rumor has it he's buried in the end zone, one of the end zones.
Yeah, Home Field's description says he was buried in Notre Dame Stadium. So there you go. Clashmore Mike, perhaps
Mike's in one end zone, Jimmy Hoffa's in the other one, It's a joke.
Entertained fans with his sideline gymnastics until his death, September 1945. So Clashmore Mike, there you go. I love it. I'm talking. That's some unique stuff from Home Field. You're not finding that anywhere else. Okay, cool.
Yeah, and important to note too, saying it's not just ND gear.
Yeah, right.
God forbid you got an SC fan in your house.
That's what I'm saying. So let me pull up the drop-down menu of schools I mean, goodness gracious, look at all of these. There's tons.
They're working on South Florida, right, Mike?
Let's see the USF.
Oh, look at that.
I mean, good God, they have a ton. Is it oh, come on. Oh, your boy needs this. I think I might need to pivot from the tennis sweater.
What's that?
So I might need to pivot from the tennis sweater. Oh my God. I love hoodies. I'm a big hoodie guy, dude. All I do is wear hoodies in the winter and fall. So, all right. So there you go. Homefieldapparel.com. Mike, for me, the story of the game is the defensive line.
Yeah.
They control the game, right? The picks, you watching back, a lot of pressure. Getting after Caleb Williams. Who impressed you the most on that D-line? Just talk about that group for me.
Well, I kind of called out Riley Mills a couple weeks ago. I told you I got his number. He sat next to me at that spring thing. I've sent him a couple texts, which he hasn't responded. I don't blame him. But yeah, man, Riley Mills has stepped up lately. Howard Cross, of course, is going to be one of those Notre Dame greats that's going to play 6, 7, 8 years in the league, and people will forget about him. But he is. We kind of take him for granted. Like I said, I mentioned Nana earlier. He's been productive and kind of flashed. Botello had a decent game. You're seeing a lot of Josh Burnham out there. I think he might be a little nicked up coming out of the game. Boubacar Traore, who you, Mike, I want to give you credit for. I mean, you talked about him as a signee. I think he's going to have, by the end, almost verbatim, your quote was, by the end of the year, he's going to be in the rotation.
Yeah, it was my preseason show with Tim in August. That was one of my bold predictions, is that he was going to make an impact on the team by the end of this year. So,
yeah. I mean, like I said, the whole group played incredibly well. And I mean, literally, you could almost across the board on defense, everybody played well. Everybody played hard. Everybody tackled. I think this is the first time in Cam Hart's career that I can remember watching him get turned up. And it was fun to see. Cam tends to be kind of not a passive personality out there, but, he's just on point. In this game, he kind of let his hair down, which I love to see. Gabriel Rubio played incredibly well.
Yeah.
Most importantly, as I kind of called for, and it's an obvious thing, but watching coming off of last year's USC game, was just a rotation, dude. Fresh legs. Like I said, if you got to play Brennan Vernon, we're not burning your red shirt, but we just need you out here for 8 snaps to spell Riley Mills or whomever. And Al Golden obviously gets a ton of credit, well-deserved. But that scheme doesn't work unless our front guys make some hay, and some credit's got to go to Al Washington too.
Yeah.
That unit has gotten better and better and better the last 3-4 games.
We've been critical of Golden and kind of some of the crazy things that just have left Notre Dame exposed in the back end. But, I mean...
I've always called it that designer defense.
Yep.
And you can see what he's trying to do, and then you're always kind of torn. Because I'm just kind of like an old school lineup and play. And you did see more of that this week. And we talked about that on Wednesday. If the coaching staff can just kind of get out of their own way, and that's an element to that. Stop trying to overcomplicate it. So you didn't see your linebackers walked up in that mug technique. You didn't see Aztec as much. You saw more coverage versus less man and just blitzing. But he did great. And one thing I haven't heard talked about in regards to Coach Golden in this game, and it was fun. And so JD's your signal caller. He's getting our signal from Coach Golden, who's down on the field. And I've been in that role. There's usually a cadence, right? Tackles made, everybody kind of huddles up, 1,000, maybe wait 3, 4, 5, 6 seconds. You get your call it out, move around, we get set. There was, I don't know, I'm going to call it a handful of times, Singer. Very cool to watch. If anybody goes back and gets the rewatch, where USC was doing that scan / check with me. You feel me?
Yep.
Where they're looking at Lincoln Riley to get the call. They're kind of waiting like we did with Coach Reese last year and Drew Pine. They're doing the same thing.
Okay.
Coach Golden is waiting. It's a cat and mouse game. So USC's up against the play clock, and Coach Golden is not giving JD a signal until the last second. So there's times where JD's going, come on. What are you going to call? And then Golden would call, they would line it up, and then boom. That was a ton of fun to watch. He would wait until the last second because he was like, I'm going to wait till they show me what the F they're in, and then I'll give you the signal. It's brilliant.
So was USC like waiting to see what Notre Dame was even doing to make subs?
Correct.
So then if USC subs, then Notre Dame can
Not so much subs. The formation I'm talking about, there is, let's just say, okay, play clock, right? What is it, 35 seconds, 25 seconds?
Yeah, 25, yeah, 30 maybe. I can't remember. Yeah, it's different in NFL and college.
35. I've never been a rules guy. But anyways, so it's like typically, offense is going to get their call 10 seconds or whatever. We're walking up to the line of scrimmage. So they're at the line of scrimmage in their chosen personnel, just call it 11 personnel. And then Lincoln Riley's trying to see what Al Golden's in. And Al Golden, a handful of times, is like, I'm waiting on you. So then they wouldn't get a call, and then USC would wait, and then they would finally get their call, and then JD would get the call. I'm talking at the last second. There was the last time Coach Golden did it. JD was on his hands and knees like, please, coach, give me the call. Like you could see him, he's on his hands and knees like, please give me a call. And then the last second he would call it in. So that cat and mouse thing was, if anybody rewatches the game, it was a ton of fun. And kudos to Golden for just having the stones to try and pull something off like that. And we didn't get caught. And yeah, the defensive line played outstanding.
So going to the offense, Mike, just thoughts on what you saw?
Like I said, I just think it's I was disappointed you didn't see more love, but in the same breath, dude, like Audra got 20 plus carries.
Yeah.
Right?
That's what we've been asking for.
So I don't believe that our wide receivers are that bad. They're very banged up. Greathouse, I don't think is anywhere close to 100%. Thank God for the bye week. I don't think Jaden Thomas is anywhere close to 100%. Yeah. And, I think we called for that on last.
He played 6 snaps. I'm sorry. Jaden Thomas played 6 snaps.
Yeah, he's out there gutting it. But I mean, none of these guys are burners. And if you've got a bit of a snag in your hamstring, it's just going to make you throttle it back even that much more. But like I said, I think the frustration, I think this bye week is a chance to get your wide receiver group healthy, to do some self-scouting, because some of these fixes, formational tendencies, are painfully obvious. And I think we can get away from that. We've touched on this a couple times, like not having Tobias Merriweather producing. And it's not, the focus isn't solely on Tobias, but not having that element to the passing game, it hurts.
Yeah,
it does. And Tyree can run, and come to find out, Faison can run. But if I'm those coaches, like I'm really going to take Tobias under my wing for that extra week of work, and just really, if like Coach Stuckey, if you're Coach Parker, pour into that kid over the next week, because coming out of it, I mean, he's 2 seasons into his career.
Right.
And I'm not putting it on him. I'm not putting it on the coaches, but like they got to spend time this offseason. And, Timmy Hyde is a big fan of Faison. I think we all are. On Jadarian Price's, another young kid making a play. Jadarian Price's kick return. Jordan Faison's kind of like one of the up returners. I think it was he and Love are like the up returners, and then Price is the deep man.
Mm-hmm.
Price busts that thing down our student section sideline, and who runs his ass down? Faison, trying to get a block. And I'm watching him move, and I like movement stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Who does he move exactly like? Exactly. Golden Tate.
Oof.
I'm telling you, the same stature, kind of thick thighs, narrow waist, slightly bow-legged. We love those kids over here. We like pigeon-toed kids, and we like slightly bow-legged, and just real good body control. You can see the level of competitiveness in him. I'm not saying he's going to be Golden Tate.
Yeah.
He moves damn near identical to Golden Tate.
Yeah. And I was talking about last night in the show, for the kid to have the stones for his first 2 games to be at Louisville, catch a touchdown, and then get an end around against USC. Like, are you freaking kidding me? A 16-yard run against USC, catching that hit or that curl
trying
route,
to
like
spin out of tackles. Yeah.
I mean, he had 12 snaps. Get him in the game more, man.
Sure.
So
it's crazy, man. At one point, we were in 11 personnel. You had Mitch at tight end. You had a former running back in Tyree, a walk-on lacrosse player, and then you had a true freshman in Rico.
Yeah. And that's when I was thinking to myself, good God, you got to give Sam Hartman some slack here because, yeah, as much as we like Faison, we still can't rely on him too much right now. And the thing about him and Tyree, as fast as they are, Faison is 5'10 and 1/8, 182 pounds, and Chris Tyree is 5'9 and a half, 192 pounds. And I think the best player in the NFL pound for pound is Tyreek Hill, and he's not very tall, but that's Tyreek Hill. A little bit different.
Yeah, it's funny, Singer, because like the size of a Tobias Merriweather, any big receiver, I mean, any NFL receiver, any NFL receiver that's over 6'2", it's like sexy. You're like, dang, this guy's a go jump ball, get it guy. How many jump balls have we seen Sam Hartman throw this year? Like 0. So if these kids are fast enough and have enough wiggle and enough like gamesmanship to get open, who cares how tall they are? If they're open, who cares how tall they are?
Yeah. But I mean, you're not throwing deep much to Chris Tyree unless there's no safety help, right? Like that 46-yard touchdown, that's about it. But yeah, contested, yeah, you're not seeing that.
For sure.
I can think he maybe threw a couple to Jaden Thomas, but yeah. And I think Jaden Thomas dropped a couple.
I don't know. I mean, gosh, of all the sports cliches, this might be the most cliche of the cliches, but it's not the size of the dog in the fight. It's the size of the fight in the dog. How many contested catches you seen Golden Tate make? How many contested catches you seen Steve Smith make? Some of that's like just in here.
Yeah.
As corny as it is, it's very real.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So when you see a Tobias Merriweather who's built like a Adonis out there, he's got all the physical potential, but he doesn't have the gumption to go up and get a ball. It does frustrate you. We got to get that out of that kid somehow, and he's a big part of it too.
Yeah. And then Hartman specifically, Mike, you want to touch on him? I mean, I figure it's 33 minutes in, we might as well talk about
Tim. Tim was trying to say that maybe his hands hurt, or he's not physically 100%.
I don't buy. I mean, did you guys see him running? He looked fine to me. I'm not buying that.
Yeah, as we forecasted on Wednesday, I thought we'd have more success running the ball, and I'm going to attribute some of that again to the formational tendencies, not the play calls. It's just the plays the calls that are made out of the formations that we're in. It's too predictable. And we also said that Sam would make a couple plays. He had a nice throw to Rico, had a nice throw to Tyree. He had a nice run that he picked up. Outside of that,
that's it. He missed some passes, but then they didn't really need him to do anything, man.
Coming out of the second half, it was almost like he was seeing ghosts, like kind of rushing things. He didn't have his feet set. Balls were kind of floating. He had like 3 high passes in a row. He had the stupid decision to Evans where he should have thrown it to Stays. And Mike, that could have been a touchdown. If Evans turns around and blocks, dude, Stays is fast enough.
Probably not, but could have been.
Stays can run, dude.
Stays can run, but I want to say there's like 2 defenders. Like I know there's another safety, but
maybe he makes a guy miss. But long story short, that was a boneheaded play, and then the 2 consecutive throws to follow, he floated both of those. So it goes back to the frustrations with the offense. People thought, based off of what Sam had done over the course of 12 years in the ACC, that he was going to come in here and, they're going to replace touchdown Jesus with Hartman. It's like, bearded face or something. Like, he's a good quarterback. He's not special. And that's kind of bearing itself out. And it's of course, it's the wide receiver's fault. Of course, it's the offensive line's fault. This is a team game, but he hasn't really. He's mid, as the kids would say, Singer. He's mid.
No, he's not mid. But You know, he's not replacing.
He's not him. He's not him either,
He's
though,
not,
right? He's not him. Mitchell Evans is him.
Mitchell Evans had 2 catches for 13 yards.
But he is. Just I'm telling you, the on-field demeanor. I like the way that kid's built.
Yeah, I like Evans a lot.
For sure. We both did it coming out of high school.
You more than me, though.
Mm-hmm.
I did like him. Obviously, I like him, but.
So I think, there's reason to be frustrated, and again, the fans, that's a historical ND beatdown of a hated rivalry. Let yourself enjoy it. Yeah. And yes, you're not wrong that the offense kind of stunk it up. You're not wrong. But we are going into a bye. And if the improvements, like if there isn't some obvious fixes, again, in terms of formational tendencies, the players are running out of it, coming out of the bye, then, we got problems.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we've talked about most of the position groups. Linebackers, Mike, you want to talk about the linebackers? Because JD played a pretty good game, dude.
Yeah, damn it. Yeah.
He had the 4th down stop early in the game. 11 tackles, 6 of them solos, half sack, 1.5 TFLs, QB hurry. Nice little game for JD Marist. Yeah. Marist didn't shoot himself in the foot. I thought everybody played pretty well. Defense.
There's a couple things I could touch on here. When JD has a really good game, it's that stat line. I bet you he's like replicated that stat line 2 or 3 times. And he can, and I just wish, and I know he wishes the same. I just wish he was like 2 inches taller and had a little bit more length, because he's a good player. He's physically limited sometimes just because of his stature. He's small. DJ made a couple nice plays and played confident, man. Marist, we got to see him set up a blocker on his sack. And I think it was Nana cleaned it up. Might have been in the 3rd quarter. And people like this singer. So I'm going to get into how he set that guy up. People like the kind of football stuff, so I'm told. So Urban Meyer, when I was a true freshman, he was the wide receivers coach at Notre Dame. We're doing some drill. He's teaching a walk-on tight end, Brendan Hart. Shout out Brendan Hart, whose grandfather was Leon Hart, right? Heisman Trophy winner for Notre Dame. He's explaining to Brendan as a tight end. I'm listening to this as the linebacker, how to get loose on a pass route. And this as a receiver singer. So if you jab somebody one time, they don't respond. If you go if you give them a 2, they only stick with you on the second one. So he's like, if you can make it a 3, a 1, 2, 3, you leave them on the third one. They don't react on the first one. They bite on the second one, and you leave them on the third one. You could teach pass rushers this. It's a release technique. Maris set that guard up like that. Boom, 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 and left them on the third one. Came clean as a whistle. And for months, almost 2 seasons running, we've seen him just bug on a windshield. And that was I heard angels singing when he came free. It was just what a job. Great job. But put those stats back up if you can, too, because you kind of want to give everybody their due. We talked about Nana several times. Cam Hart, again, came with some energy. Clarence Lewis has always just kind of blended in. He hasn't stuck out, which is a good thing. He's a role player. I think he's going to get a shot at the NFL. He's got a lot of traits. Thomas Harper played great. Ran with slots. Some people thought that, he didn't have the speed to run vertically with some of these guys. Howard Cross, super consistent, probably take the kid for granted. Again, Riley Mills starting to get a little bit more active, winning a lot more one-on-ones. And some of this credit goes back to Coach Washington, truly. Baptiste has been, he's, if Howard Cross is our best defensive lineman, JJB is, he's a close second, and good for him. You love it when a transfer thing works out. Good for him. Jalen Sneed played a great game. Yeah, but he roughed the punter. Whatever, dude. You know what I'm saying? Again, he roughed the punter. It's he played awesome. Almost had a pick. He always wears the green shoes. You can always notice when Jalen's in the game. He's rocking those green shoes from the Ohio State game. super excited for his future and just more, please. And the rest of them, Antonio Carter had a great tackle on a kickoff return. And then obviously Boubacar and Rubio barely shows up on the stat sheet, but he absolutely matters. Just having he is a bona fide big dude in the middle.
Yeah.
And Mills is a big guy, but Mills kind of wants to be Mills is the basketball center that wants to play point guard. You feel me?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He wants to bring the ball up the court. He's Shaq wanting to bring the ball up the court. Whereas Rubio, I think, is totally comfortable in that role, just being a bully, taking on blockers, etc. But physically, Snead and Traore, they're different.
Yeah.
We've been talking about it. They're just different.
Yeah. All right, Ghouls. Super chats?
Hit it.
All right, let's do it. I like this one. It's very generous, and it's just great win. Thanks for the show. Well, hell yeah, Robert. Appreciate the super chat. This was a couple hours before the show started. Robert, appreciate the super chat.
Nice pick, by the way, Robert. Great photo. But yeah, appreciate you, man. Great win. Great win.
And Chris, another great picture. Chris got a great beard that Mike Singer only wishes he could grow.
Yeah.
He says the on-field talent gap has narrowed since Freeman's arrival. What specific actions or improvements should he prioritize to get Notre Dame to the next level? Goolsby, loaded one for you.
To get to the end, well, we'll talk about defense first because that's what we seem to do around here. We've talked about recently here, Chris, Golden scheme and the complexities of it. Typically all the checks, Marist and Bertrand play a lot because they've been around. They got the football IQ. They can handle it. They can process it. They can make checks. But if Freeman continues to kind of stockpile kids that are long, kids that can run, kids that are multiple, then they're really, really good athletes and fluid, etc. But the scheme is too complex. You've got a conflict there. So we got all this young talent, but they can't get on the feet because of the scheme. So something's going to give there when you talk about getting ND to the next level. And then I think really outside of that, forget the stars, especially at that wide receiver group, Singer. Now, we're happy to have Cam Williams. We're happy to have a 5-star because that dude is,
but
shoot. I mean, he's something. But I'm just if I'm Coach Freeman, I'm telling my staff and my recruiting staff, some of those I'm going to say underlings, but some of these, the recruiting staff, I want to cast a broad net. I want to check those GPA, check those test score boxes. And I just want guys that can run. I don't care about size. I want guys that can run, and then we'll go from there. And I don't care if their best offer is a, Tulane, or if they've only got a couple MAC offers. If the kid can run, let's take a deeper dive.
Well, when Isaiah Canyon decommitted and Notre Dame did cast that wide net, their favorite receiver they found was Logan Saldate from California, and he was committed to Oregon State. And they basically had Saldate, because this is during the August dead period. They had Saldate send in a bunch of his hey, go run this in the backyard, or down at the at the field. Go run this, run a 40-yard dash, video it, send it to us. They don't all the stuff. And what Notre Dame sources have told me is that when Saldate gets to Notre Dame in the summer, that he's going to be physically in testing and stuff. He's going to be one of the top 3 performers in a handful of categories already. So So every time you and Tim say something like that, I just think Saldate, and not the biggest guy, but very productive. I think will be a really good slot for Notre Dame. So speed for sure. Cam Williams obviously has speed. And I saw Micah Gilbert, who is maybe a little bit more of your boundary guy and not the fastest, but the kid with the ball in his hands makes plays. I really liked him when I got to see him a few weeks ago. So I really like this receiver group coming in for Notre Dame.
Yeah, and let's not forget about Braylon James. I mean, Braylon James, to me, he kind of reminded me of AJ Green at Georgia. He is kind of that SEC. Okay. Can you see that? The same frame. He's a jump ball kid, but he's also runs 4.41. And he has got good size. What is he, 6'2", 180 or whatever he is? Plenty
Probably
big.
Bigger than that. Yeah.
But it's just you need guys that can that just can, and again, we loved Great House and we've loved Rico, like love them, but they're limited in terms of what they're going to be able to do and like how much just ground they cover.
The thing with like a Rico is you can't have him be your number one Z. Like you can't count Rico's like an amazing number 3 piece, right? Like your slot guy or number 4. Like if you can have Rico as like your number 3 guy, he's balling, getting those one-on-one matchups in the slot. Like that's what you want. But to have him, hey, you run downfield, Rico, we're gonna throw to you 25 yards down the field when you're, the outside receiver. Like, bro, he's not that guy.
No.
But him in the slot working against a safety or something, like he's fantastic. So
yeah, he'll come up, make a tough catch. I mean, shoot, did you see that hit he took early in the game? And Sam sold his ass out. He just pops right back up. I mean, that's a true freshman.
Yeah.
That's taking a lick like that and just pops up. And I think that Great House will probably assume Thomas's role when he moves on.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, Great House is going to fill out. I mean, he's going to be a 220-pound kid.
Yeah.
So hopefully that answers your question, Chris.
Good question. Chris, appreciate the super chat. And Chris was messaging me on Twitter earlier today. He asked if we were doing the show tonight. Like, hell yeah, brother. Of course.
Of course. After a win like that.
Yeah, you think we missed that? Chris, appreciate you. Adam says, about time I contribute. Appreciate you guys. Are we still confident in Chancey Stuckey beyond recruiting? At some point, the results are the results.
This is what I'll say about so many of these positions, whether it's tailback, whether it's running back, whether it's corner, defensive line. And this is coming from a kid that train kids most weekends. Like the stuff isn't that difficult. Like there's Instagram pages these kids could follow and learn different release techniques. It's true. So some of this just comes down to talent. And at the end of the day, Mike, you played the position.
Give me too much credit. Go ahead.
But you did. I mean, I like listening to you and High. You're like, yeah, dude, they were in cover 0. I'm like, yeah, Singer knows his stuff, dude. Like, I appreciate that. Yeah, and you can wink. Can't do that. But as a receiver and, I've trained a couple of really nice corners. Everybody's afraid. Anybody in coverage and at their core is afraid of getting beat deep. And everything that offensive player does and everything that defensive player does, how they react, is centered around getting beat deep. So if that corner can go into that game and be like, this kid can't run past me, it makes their life a lot easier and it makes that receiver's life a lot more difficult. So you could talk about Chancey Stuckey not teaching this or not teaching that. I'm just telling you, if that DB knows this kid can't outrun me and I can just sit and I can be patient and I can use good technique, you need that threat to be able to run by somebody.
That's why DBs loved playing against me when I was in high school.
I bet you had that goatee in high school.
I think I did. I don't remember. I don't remember now. Michael says, no shocker here. Goolsby knows what he's talking about, and I'm just Joe fanboy. Have a great show, guys. Well, Michael, appreciate the 5, my friend.
Thanks, buddy.
ND Irish fan 5, he says, what do you think of starting the third with 3 pass plays instead of handing it off to Estime?
I didn't I liked it, to be frank. I mean, most of this offense is run on first down. I think that Parker, that first down, we're talking about the play where he should have thrown it to Stays Singer and instead kind of threw it into coverage and Mitch. What's so funny?
Yeah. Just reading the chat. People are talking about my athleticism. It's just funny. Sorry, continue.
So yeah, real quick in regards to like that play. Nice play call. Sam was under center. We were in 11 personnel. No, we couldn't have been. I think we were in 12. I think Sam was under center. Fake. He boots into the boundary, which I didn't like. That should have been to the field, right? But yeah, I think once Sam kind of like screwed up on that play, he floated the next 2. But he had open receivers. So I liked it. I mean, I would have flipped the first play, but I liked it.
I think, like, Mike, when you criticize Parker, it's more about, like, not specific play calls. It's more about the overall scheme. Would you say that's fair?
Yeah.
I just think, like, parsing and picking apart specific little play calls is just so, like, I think it's very weak. I just think it's a lazy, like, because criticizing the offensive coordinator is just the easiest thing to do. So
no, I get you. Yeah, why did he call that on 3rd and 2? Like, if you recall at the Ohio State game, when we kind of went on a little bit of that slide, and we're kind of coming out of that. There are 3.5 minutes left. I think it was our final possession. It's been a while. First play was an inside run to Estime, 11, 12 yards. They pull Estime out of the game, and he's shocked. He's like, what the hell? This is what I'm here for, to salt this game away. And then the next play, we had 2 backs, and they ran like a counter, and that defensive end crashed and broke up the play. Like, I liked that play call. If it worked, it was awesome. And to Freeman's point in the press conference, that's what's so fun about football, dude.
Yeah.
And Freeman's like, I don't mind the play calls. I don't like the execution.
Yeah.
There's merit to that.
Yeah.
But we're talking about the system.
What about this? The little end around to Jordan Faison. If Faison drops that football or he gets tackled for a couple yards loss, everyone's like, why the hell are you running a lacrosse player on an end around? Like, what are you doing? This is USC. Don't give it the Jordan Faison and an end around. But since he ran for 16 yards,
great play.
Great play. So that's what I'm saying. Like, it's just kind of lazy. Joe says, Singer, you stick them in high school. I did have a sticky towel that I would put on my gloves. And I would spit on my gloves all the time. So I was very in my head about
what number? What number, Singer?
19. Yeah. Not cool enough to wear single digit, but 19. Joey says, love the show. Motivation is simple. You eliminate those who are not motivated to lose loopholes.
Yeah.
Joey, appreciate the 5.
I can tell you, and I know this to be true, after the USC game last year, I think Freeman and staff had kind of a come to Jesus moment, and they were like, okay, and you go back, Singer, kind of go back in time, jog your memory. They kind of addressed the team. There was a team meeting, and they were like, shit just got real. And if you remember, Mike, there was several kids that kind of medically retired, moved on, et cetera, kind of following that. So Freeman will do that. And I think some of those kids, it wasn't that they weren't motivated. It was that they weren't talented enough. It just didn't fit the trajectory of where Freeman's trying to take this program. Let's talk real quick about Freeman in this game.
Yeah.
And how fun has it been to watch his like sideline demeanor develop and sort of grow as he again figures this out on the fly? I noticed this game, he almost became aware of the cameras on him throughout the course of the game. And that you could see, like, if he's yelling at his staff on the headset, he faces the bench because he knows he's being filmed from across the field. So every time he was yelling and the camera was on him, it was like it was his back. I saw him celebrating a lot more with his guys this week, which I thought was really cool to see. And again, I still think he's figuring out kind of how to coach and how to lead and what buttons to push. Real quick, the Traore sack at the end of the first half. You recall this, and it was Traore, Snead, and who else but Marist were celebrating. You know, and Marist has played a lot of football. Marist should have grabbed those 2 kids and be like, hey, we got to get lined up. So I put that on Marist more than I do those young bucks and Snead and Traore. But I like that Freeman called that timeout.
Yeah.
Did he have to? This is one of these revisionist history things, right, Mike? Oh, that was stupid for him because he spiked it after the clock went 0 or whatever. But that was like, that showed me that like Freeman was like, he was on it and he made a split-second decision to call a timeout. And whether it was the right decision or not, I'm like, that, like, I don't know if he would have done that in the Ohio State game. I don't know if he would have been that dialed in. So that's growth to me.
Damn. I like when we're on the same page, Mike, because that's exactly what I said yesterday.
Is that right?
Yeah. I was like, listen,
yeah. I didn't mean to steal your thunder.
No, it's like it's a quick, like, do something. He did something.
Yeah.
So yeah, I liked it. Justin D. Gal says, "Dear Mike, my internet sweetheart, some kind words from JD Bertrand and his 6 solo tackles, 0.5 sacks, and 1.5 TFL. He went to work, a real Notre Dame man. Yeah, like you, man, Mike. I think you're being flirted with.
Yeah, no, I think, JD has, like, I think the last 3 games he's been like 11 tackles plus. And the first time that I really gave JD Bertrand props was that Clemson game last year. And he was so dialed in. I mean, there wasn't a false step to be had. He was just locked in. I just wish he was bigger. I truly do. But I'm glad that we have him. And I think it was Watts. Was it Watts' second pick? If Watts didn't pick that pass off, JD dove almost like he was playing beach volleyball, like dove backwards. And I was like, great effort, man. Because we rarely get to see our linebackers get their hands. And I'm going to say it, Singer. We rarely get to see our linebackers get their hands in any balls. Did I get you? I got you. Good. I got you.
Just real quick, Mike, like 10 seconds. Is this basically like the win over USC, though, reminiscent of the Clemson beatdown last year, right? Like same kind of feel. Like Pine had like 80 yards passing last year, like kind of the same game.
Yeah, and they were coming off kind of a skid. There were some ups and downs. But yeah, it was the same type of environment, backs against the wall, home crowd night game, not great weather, very, very, very similar game. And that's when I talk about these West Coast pussies coming in here. And it's like, you're going to have to play football. Oh, you want to play in the league? Okay, you used to have to go through New England and win a Super Bowl. Like, and what killed me, that punt returner Branch, of course, he's got like a fire suit on because it's so cold. It's 40 degrees out. And the idiot, he's got a visor on because of the ski mask he's wearing. It's making his visor fog up, of course. It's like dumb. And then that's why he flubbed that kick, because his stupid visor is all fogged up. It's just
he looked cool, though, Mike. He did look cool.
Yeah, he looked cool. Yeah, he looked a lot cooler if you could see, dude.
Mike, we got another cool sponsor that I should probably read earlier. So my bad, Augie. But we are going to hear and learn about Augie's Locker Room. And how about these first 2 items? 1966 Notre Dame football versus Michigan State ticket stub, PSA authentic, and a 1988 Notre Dame football versus Miami football ticket stub, PSA authentic. So some pretty cool stuff that Augie's always getting in his store. So folks, when you come to that Pitt game, or you come to that weight game, you got to make time for Augie's Locker Room. They have a wide selection of Notre Dame Stadium pieces, jerseys, helmets, autographs, and one-of-a-kind Rockne items. You can find exclusive Joe Montana signed items and famous sculptor Jerry McKenna's replicas of the bronze statues around the stadium. And Augie gets new stuff in all the time. If he doesn't have it, he's going to go find it for you. Visit him at 1811 South Bend Avenue and see the vintage display, the vintage helmet display dating back to 1890. It's got some great stuff. Check him out, augieslockerroom.com. Give him a call, 574-277-6363. Tell him Mike Singer, Blue and Gold.
Singer, phone number one more time.
Got you. 574-277-6363. You jotting it down, Blue?
I got to call Augie.
See if he's got any 41 stuff.
Dude, this is a true story. So I had to move. I've moved a bunch for my career. And I paid a moving company to move me one time.
Well, I don't like where this is going.
Those. I'm sorry?
I said I don't like where this is going.
I had a few of those, Tupperware bins filled with Notre Dame gear, jerseys, whatever, all kinds of stuff. I forget at this point. And one of those movers stole it. So that was one of my jerseys. And then we were so hard up for cash back in the day And I'll never forget it. Me and Carlisle, who also ex-captain, there was some fire chief or something in South Bend. And maybe somebody watching this knows, but he's like a Notre Dame collector. So down in his basement, tons of jerseys. Like he had the yard marker from when they beat Miami. Like he had all this cool Notre Dame stuff. He had like an Augie's locker room in his basement. And we sold him some stuff because we needed and he was like, if you ever want it back, let me know. And I'm like, I don't know who you are. I forgot. That was 25 years ago. So maybe Augie can track it down. I'm absolutely going to call him.
Yeah. There you go. You'll have to let us know how that goes. All right, Ghouls, we're an hour in. We got 20 super chats.
Holy smokes.
You ready, bro?
Let me stretch.
Hey, just ND Gal, appreciate the last one. John says, Mike Goolsby, I dedicate this super chat to my dad, class of 48. We were both there for the 73 game. Thanks for all you and Singer do. Love the Notre Dame, John.
Thanks, John.
What a great super chat.
Shout out to your dad. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Mike's with $10 says, Mike and Mike, obviously always the goal to win a national championship. I love the super chat. How important is it for Notre Dame and Freeman to go win a New Year's Six bowl? Been 30 years since a major bowl. Been love the show. Yeah, if you're not going to make the playoff, go win one of these big bowl games, Mike. Go 10-2 in the regular season and go beat LSU and Fiesta Bowl or Sugar Bowl or whatever it ends up being. Yeah, go take care of business.
Yeah, my answer, my first thought to this, Mike Nolan, great question, actually. I just think young talent, and I also think Sam Hart. If Sam Hart doesn't play in a bowl game for us, that'll be shameful. That'll be shameful. So Sam Hartman, stick around.
Would be stunned if he doesn't. I said I'd be stunned if Sam Hartman doesn't play in the.
We're assuming he's a high enough character guy. Notre Dame's been pretty good to him. It's not
like he's going to be a first round pick and needs to take care of himself. He needs the reps. Yeah, I feel like.
Yeah. He needs to go work on running a 4.40. Sure. Yeah. He's got to get his bench numbers up and go train in Arizona for the combine. I get it. No, yeah. If Sam Hartman sticks around, super optimistic. Fans think about like the win. Okay, we get to maybe play at LSU. How fun would that be, right? Like you get to knock off another kind of brand name marquee type team.
Mm-hmm.
But then you also get like another month of practice. And I think I just can't think about Marcus Freeman's team and his culture without thinking about young talent. So it's like whatever team we're going to play, they're going to have guys that are going to depart and go train for the league. Meanwhile, we're playing the Jalen Sneeds, the Boubacar Traore's of the world, which just keeps building. You kind of want this thing to be like rinse, wash, repeat with young talent. They develop and they move on, and we get more. So that's my first thought.
Yeah, Mike, appreciate the 10 there, brother. Hank with 5 says Marcus Freeman affects need. Traore, twitchy first step. Morrison, young receivers, loaded quarterback and running back room. Linebackers are young, etc. Exciting present and future.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, some of these kids they just move differently and they're long. I mean, look at all those names: Sneed, Traore, Morrison. Long wingspan, real fluid bendability. You cannot teach that stuff.
Hank, appreciate you. Jack with $10 super chat says Marcus is an awesome coach. Notre Dame future is bright. It's crazy, Mike. After the Louisville game, it's clean house, fire Freeman. We literally had people coming in here spamming fire Freeman. And now we're getting the good stuff.
No, I mean, Freeman is. It depends on what everybody wants. How you define your coach. How do you define a college coach? It's the face of the program. It's a leader of the building. It's a recruiter. It's game day operations. It's hiring. It's firing. Freeman's got some of that stuff in the bag already, and some of that stuff he's going to figure out. So,
Jack, yep.
Yes, the arrow's pointing up.
Yeah. Jack, appreciate the generous super chat. Joseph Quayle, $5 says new pres, new AD, whipped SC, may change my YouTube name, Ghouls. As a guy who grew up in LA during Carroll era, derailing SC national championship run was Irish Nirvana.
I love it.
That's another thing. Yeah. No,
get
the back out of there for Heisman, and they still have title aspirations, but it's gonna be tough after 28-point drubbing.
Dude, yeah. I mean, Caleb Williams' King vibes were just a little off. It must have been the weather. They throw King vibes off,
Yeah, as the kids say, he's sus, bro. Super sus. Mark says, really love the defensive scheme, controlled, disciplined rush by the defensive line to keep Caleb boxed in while the linebackers hassled him into mistakes. Great team effort. Tackling much better this week. Great points by Mark. Where the hell has this guy been? Yeah. Mark, where have you been? I don't know if I know you. Your name doesn't sound familiar. Great points. I don't think I talked about either with last night, Tim. Like, yeah, the D-line played great, like pressuring him, but also like Williams, I mean, what was his rushing numbers?
So while you're looking that up, what Mark's talking about, this is more of like that football stuff. When you play a quarterback like that, they say to rush to the level of the quarterback. And this actually factors into some of this arm length conversation. So it's like you could see our defensive ends coming up field, and when they would get to like equal depth, I can never figure this out, like equal depth to Caleb, they would stop. There was a time or two where Jordan Botelho on one of Caleb's first runs, they got to here, and then Caleb took one step further upfield, and then Caleb ran inside. So yeah, you're kind of boxing them out. And then when you have long guys like Baptiste, and when you have long guys like Botelho, hell, even Mills, you saw him with like a push-pull, they can extend and they can just wait to see what Caleb does, and they could throw off because they have that length. Botelho doesn't have that length. So when you talk about the types of athletes, Freeman's recruiting to win these big games against, first-round picks like a Williams, some of these traits come into effect. And that's a classic example and a great point by Mark. Yeah,
he ran for, he had a few 5-6 positive rushing gains, but ended the night with -8 net rushing yards because of the sacks. But his long was 11 yards in the first quarter. So yeah, they contained him, and then the tackling was much better. So that's a good point, Mark. Where the hell you been, bro? Hank, I know where Hank is. He's always hanging out with us. He says, "Are we seeing the maturity of Marcus Freeman?" The halftime speech, know the situation. Oh, yeah. Also, like Marcus Freeman coaching Watts after the touchdown about hanging on to the ball.
Yeah, yes, you're absolutely seeing the maturation of Coach Freeman. The halftime speech, these just like boom, 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 good, great super chats. And it's complete sentences and it's proper English. It's home runs. The sack, the Traore sack, the timeout, etc. Freeman was visibly pissed. You could tell he turned and he's yelling into the mic. And Washington's on the field with him. Al Washington's on the field with him. And I just sat there, and a buddy of mine, my best buddy growing up, texted me about like how stupid of a play that was. And I was just like, I hope Freeman doesn't bring that negativity into the locker room, because that happened at the last minute. We gave up 3 points, stupid play, immature penalty. But that being said, like, Freeman, pick your poison. You go in there and you're patting everybody on the ass. Tell them to keep it up. You don't want to throw the energy off and bringing in that frustration. So I don't think that Freeman, was chewing people out at halftime. And that to me was a very mature thing to do.
Hank, appreciate you. And Mark's back. Fans, offensive stats will be marginalized when your defense continually, thankfully, puts you on a short field offense. Was step in the right direction. Something to build on. Another $10 super chat from
Yeah, I don't know how needed the offense was in this game. And the defense was playing so well. You could play conservative. You didn't need to air it out. In a time or two we did, sprinkled them in, but that was the course of the game.
Yeah, and 0 turnovers as well. Notre Dame took care of the ball. Something they obviously didn't do last week. That was, I think, another little subplot key to the game. Mike says going back to the Irish Terrier as mascot rather than a student in Halloween costume will bring a natty for sure. There you go.
I don't disagree, dude. I don't disagree. Maybe we go with like an Airedale Terrier or something. Maybe a different type of dog. But some of these leprechauns in any given year, it's like, get this guy off my TV. Let's see more cheerleaders, please. This guy does nothing for me. They can't even grow a beard, most of these guys anymore. And that used to be a prereq. Like, you had to have the beard.
Oh, Mike. Inscrutable with $5 says, what do you think of Lincoln Riley not doing a walkthrough with his team? I think that's disrespectful to the history of the rivalry. Thoughts? I don't know what this is about.
So he's basically saying they'll do like a Friday night. A lot of times, like, you'll get off the plane and you'll go directly to the stadium and you'll do a walkthrough before you go to the hotel. I would think that's inscrutable. As much as I love a conspiracy theory, I don't think that's the case. I would assume that Lincoln Riley's more worried about prying eyes, planes flying overhead, because they're going to have to do that in the stadium. So that would be a strategic thing as to why Lincoln Riley didn't do that.
Okay. All right. Inscrutable, appreciate the super chat. Angelo, good to see you. He says, great game. Goolsby, here's my top 3 Notre Dame guys. Derek Mays, Goolsby, and Brady Quinn. What are your thoughts on the linebacker play?
I would love to know if that was the case before I started doing this silly podcast with Singer, but I'll take it. And thank you, Angelo. Thoughts on the linebacker play? I thought we took some bad angles early on, but speed will do that to you. So I think we kind of got acclimated early on. Even Maris filled downhill. I thought it was a good physical game. And their offensive line wasn't that great either.
Yeah. Angelo, appreciate.
Solid game.
Angelo, appreciate you. Connor says, Ghouls, thanks for your opening remarks wherein you noted the cultural differences between USC and Notre Dame's respective football programs. Huge W.
Yeah, it's good versus evil. And I'm saying that tongue in cheek, but I believe that. I'm a Midwest dude, blue collar background. I've never vibed with the Cali thing. I got friends out there I don't even go visit.
Connor, appreciate you. Andy Packrat says, raise a glass. We won and they didn't. Great show as always. Hey, the good guys won for sure. Andy Packrat, appreciate
always,
the 5,
man. Always, dude. Oh, by the way,
Nation.
Shout out Bolton Landing. Anyways,
yeah, we'll throwback. ND Nation says, will there be a change in offense coordinator next year? Thanks.
Let's see.
I have no idea.
I think it's fair. I think it's fair. I think that maybe Parker retains that title. Maybe you add in a passing game coordinator. Something's got to change. Whether it's the receivers, whether it's the O-line, whether it's Hartman, whether it's the play caller. I mean, this is a team game. There's a lot of elements to this, but I would assume that something would change. I have no insight into that. I think that coming out of this bye week, that'll be pretty telling, in terms of like these formational tendencies that an average fan can pick up. I mean, we got to improve.
Yeah. God Thumbs, what's that link and promo code to buy tickets to an event, Mike? Go to the post-game show yesterday. I think we did the game time read, so I don't remember it off the top of my head, but go to the post-game show from Saturday night. I'm pretty sure I put it in the description of the video. Is Mike Singer a USC wide receiver? No. I'm not fast enough. CBJ Buckeye. Got a Buckeye in here? What? How far back in Notre Dame history would you go to pick a quarterback over Hartman? Is it Quinn, or would you take Kaiser, Golson, or a Book over him?
Cone.
Jack Cone over Sam Hartman?
Cone was thrown to the same types of receivers. I'm sure there was a 5th-round pick sprinkled in there. I can't remember his name.
Skoranek, 7th round?
No. He went to the Ravens.
Boykin. No, it wasn't Boykin.
No. He didn't come on till late in his career.
It
was like a Boykin clone.
Picked by the Ravens?
I can't matter. But to answer the question, we're both thinking of the same player. Forgive us for not having the recall. But I would go Cone.
Okay. All right, CJ Buckeye.
Cone was kind of nice, dude. He was kind of nice.
He also got pulled. Kevin Austin. Was it Kevin Austin?
Kevin Austin.
Yeah, I don't know.
Great job.
Yeah, that's all. Oh, Javon McKinley. Yeah, there's
Javon McKinley. That's who I was thinking of. Yeah.
Yeah, Javon McKinley. Yeah, not. Yeah, decent.
I mean, it wasn't a murderer's row of wide receivers.
Dude, Ian Book's 2019.
Who was a better transfer quarterback? And I mean, the stats will bear themselves out. But Cone was pretty damn good.
Yeah, except for when he got benched. Got benched a couple times. He could have been pretty ineffective at times, but
well, I mean, but there was no hype. So you have to judge this hype. There was no hype for Cone. Heisman, we thought Hartman was going to win a Heisman. Some people did.
Connor says, let's not forget that one of Kelly's top 3 or the top 10 wins counts because it was against. It doesn't matter. They were a number 1 team. Connor, appreciate the super chat, but I mean, I still like that win against Clemson in 2020. So, no, and DJU's not bad. He was, I mean, DJU Young threw 500 yards in that game.
Remember, he threw for like 370 yards that game.
He set the record for most passing yards against Notre Dame. I want to say he was in like the 400s or something crazy. So yeah. Anyways, but yeah, kind of appreciate you. Saul says, thanks for all the hard work y'all do. Did Goolsby sleep like a baby last night? If Hartman buys Al Golden a Ferrari, what does he buy Parker? Goolsby
First of all,
like a baby.
Leave that super chat up. I barely slept last night. So I finally got this house sold. We were staying in a hotel trying to keep the house clean, you know. And yeah, I just had a buzz from that game. So yeah, I barely slept last night. I want to talk about this. Hartman wants to buy Golden a Ferrari. That's when you know you're making real NIL money. Because I'd be like, oh, I want to buy my coach a steak dinner. You know, like I want to buy him a Ferrari. It's like that wouldn't even enter into like your frame of mind. You know what I mean? Like that's real money. I'd like to buy him a steak dinner. I'll get him a new tie. It's like, no, I'm buying him a Ferrari. It's like, okay, damn, dude, you balling like that? So, I don't know.
So I'll appreciate the super chat. Dennis says, if Freeman wouldn't have called that timeout, it would have been a free play. Think about that. Again, bang, bang thing. Yeah.
Yeah, somebody broke it down in the chat. So it's like he called that penalty. He called that timeout to save us 5 yards from a penalty, but then the clock would have ran out. Again, I'm not the rules guy. I could never be a head coach. If I was a head coach, I would have somebody on staff that would be like, you know, they'd have a 911 into my ear to tell me what to do with some of these clock management situations. Dennis gets the luxury, of course, having 24 hours to process that.
Right.
You know, you go be a first-time head coach at a night game against a top 10 team and tell me that you would have made the right decision. I'm just happy that he made a call and he was dialed in.
Jets beat the Eagles. How about that?
Mike, I watched so much Notre Dame football, bro, that I don't even watch. I manage my girlfriend's mother's fantasy football team.
That's about it for you?
But that's about it for me, dude. I don't watch NFL.
Dennis, appreciate you. Mike says, Marcus Freeman smart to call timeout and not get 5 yards closer to the offside infraction, gave them an untimed down anyway. It just enforced.
So this is the answer. Thank you, Mike. Mike, I'll hire you to be my game day manager guy.
And another super chat from another Mike Goolsby has been calling for someone on the defense to take over a game all year. How many guys do you think answered that call yesterday?
I think it takes one, honestly, and it was Xavier Watts. I mean, Xavier Watts is now a legend, Omaha kid, and then people will follow. I mean, because it's like, you know, everybody in that foxhole, like you're a little bit nervous, like you have anxiety, and then somebody presents with like that alpha energy, and then you follow them. But if nobody ever presents, if nobody ever steps forward, you just keep playing with that anxiety. So all the credit in the world goes to Xavier Watts. I'm just disappointed he didn't score. That's an ex-wide receiver. And if JJB would have got a block on the first one, he would have scored. But no, Xavier Watts gets all that credit. And, you know, some of those guys, Mills has been playing consistently. JD's been playing consistently. But I'm talking like to really step up and make a play, he should get all of that credit.
All right, folks. Please don't post any more super chats. We got to get Goolsby out of here, and I got a bunch of crap still to do tonight, so we can't be on here for too much longer. Appreciate the support, but please stop. We love you guys. I hate saying that. It's like, Singer, turning down money. Like, what is wrong with you, Singer? Go 4 hours. I'm like, dude, like.
Well, that's kind of why that's why I'm kind of doing the Patreon thing. Follow the Twitter. It's like, you know, if people are willing to drop $5 super chats to ask a question, it's like, subscribe to the Patreon. You know, that's because this is fun, but we do have stuff to do Sunday night.
Yeah, I can't turn them off during the show. So Chris says would love to see the receivers using more motion and in more bunch type formations. Hard for DBs to get hands on receivers. Parker needs to help his guys out.
That's accurate. That's accurate.
Chris, yep, Chris, appreciate the 5. Robert says Goolsby, I'll buy one of them tubs of gear.
Oh,
yeah,
it's on the black market somewhere.
Robert, if you find it, let us know. Drunken says, future-wise, things will remain to be seen how seriously the AD and admin offices will allow football to be taken with Swarbrick and Jenkins' departure.
I don't like to get into stuff like that. I don't. I mean, Notre Dame is what it is. I mean, football is never going to become bigger than the school. It's never going to become bigger than the university. The university was built on the back of football, which is part of the reason we love the school. And the only thing I could tell you was like my opening statement for the show tonight is be proud of your school. Be proud of the team you root for because we do things the right way. And in this transfer portal era, like we are swimming upstream and still kicking ass. And it's just like, that is why you root for Notre Dame. You don't want it to become a football factory. I don't want us to be a team comprised of transfers across the board, personally. I want to build a program.
Drunken, appreciate the super chat. A couple from Lucas, very generous $20, and then another 5. Lucas, I will be looking for you in the comments. If you have anything, please just go ahead and throw it. You don't need to do another super chat, but I'll be looking for you. But we really appreciate the very, very generous.
Absolutely, man.
JVIT says, good vibes in the locker room. Great way to go into a bye week. Great effort by the defense. Solid tackling, disciplined rushes. Keep rolling. Go, boys. JVIT, appreciate the 5.
Yeah. And I think, good vibes. And I think some of those vibes, I'm telling you, some of that energy, some of that juice comes from those younger players. So keep that kind of momentum going.
Goolsby, look into your crystal ball. Paul wants to know who will be the Notre Dame quarterback next year.
Well, Paul Walker, I mentioned this on December 1st of 2023. I had a big rant about the transfer thing, et cetera, quarterbacks moving on, yada, yada, yada. Who knows who our quarterback's going to be next year? If you're going to run to the window in Vegas, it's going to be another transfer.
I think, I would agree with you there. Lucas says on Watt's forced fumble, look at the white glove forcing the ball out. Watt's not wearing that glove. Okay. So what? Watt shouldn't get the forced fumble? I mean, okay. Who cares? Watt's played a great game.
Well, I will call Lucas. I'll make it a point. I'm going to call the NCAA, file a report, and then we'll get the FBI involved. We'll get fingerprints, DNA, and we'll get it.
This is Lucas Jackson.
There's two in my career. There was 2 fumble recoveries that I never got credit for.
This is Lucas Jackson, who already gave us $25 in super chat. So Lucas, we will.
Lucas.
Hey, W's in the chat for Lucas. Appreciate you, Lucas.
Still, I'm gonna call in the FBI. We're gonna get DNA, and we're gonna get to the bottom of it. Who had that white glove? Who really did it?
Hey, we appreciate you though, brother. Phil says, unrelated, who do you see as boundary receiver the rest of the year next year? When do you think Eli Raridon will have a breakout game?
I don't know if Eli's gonna. I mean, the way that this offense has been structured the last 2-3 years, there's only room for like one stud tight end. I do think that Eli is probably the most physically gifted all the way around. Boundary receiver. I mean, it's so funny, Singer, real quick, because you were talking about how like you bought the hype on the receiver group and you felt like you had all these okay, it was JJB. Yeah, and he's had a whale of a season so far. But you love the hype that like we had all these different skill sets at the receiver.
Well, what do you say about the off-season fodder? This is what we need.
No, for sure. But it's funny how like, in actuality, it really hasn't shook out that way because I'm scanning my brain. It's like you'd say it'd be Thomas, if and when he gets healthy. But then I'm like, well, Greathouse could do it. I think Flores could do it. But then you're also like, but Greathouse and Flores could play in the slot. So I don't know if there is they're talking about a boundary receiver, maybe meant to talk about a field receiver. But yeah, I would say that Thomas would be your boundary guy, right?
Yeah. Just gotta get healthy. Goolsby, I mean, anyways,
Goolsby, I don't think Goolsby's ever going to play for the University of Notre Dame again.
All right, we'll see. Dennis says you missed my point. I was agreeing with Freeman's call. If he won't have called the timeout, it would have gave them an extra play.
Okay.
Yeah, it happened. Notre Dame won by 28 points. Good thing we don't really have to. Good thing the 3 points that USC got after that situation didn't come back to bite the Irish. Yeah, we are going to look at Joe. Joe says he almost forgot to like. Folks, please do hit the thumbs up on the video. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Yeah, Goolsby, great show tonight. Thought you brought it as always, my friend.
I appreciate you having me. Big win. Let's rest up. I'm sure you got to heal up during this bye week. I don't know if we're going to do anything.
Probs not.
I
was assuming we won't have a show Sunday.
Okay. Works for me, man.
Get Singer night off.
All right, buddy.
All right, Ghouls. Appreciate you and everyone watching. Thank you for hanging out with us. And as always, we will catch you next time.